Man, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of EOS. It's 10 out of Jake, man. I'm rocking with Charley. Y'all rocking with me. Big shout out to every single last one of y'all that's rocking with the channel. We did it. We hit 100,000 subscribers. I was going to make a video just on, hitting 100K. But I think I'm going to wait until I get the plaque. I've already emailed YouTube. They got back to me. My channel is under a review where they basically go over everything, add everything up, and they said in about a week they're gonna get back to me. I'll get the little notification, be able to get my award. We'll unbox it, pop a bottle, we'll hang out. So once again, thank you to everybody that's been rocking with the channel. I appreciate every single one of y'all. But for this video, I'm gonna be breaking down the myth and legend behind two of the most notorious correction officers coming out of the Florida Department of Corrections. K-Wing Slim and N-Word Charley. Two of the most infamous names you'll hear within the Florida Department of Corrections. Charley's name came from the 1972 Paramount picture movie,
Nigger Charley, the story of a black cowboy who set the whole West on fire to buy his people from the white man's general.
Nigger Charley. Now you want to talk about the gold, you start off by calling me from the sergeant. And he'll bring the gold. And he'll beg us to take it. I want to buy 71 blacks from him, and I'll pay for them in gold.
Based on 3 escaped slaves, led by Charley, who killed a psychopathic white slave master in self-defense. Fleeing Virginia and traveling out west, they were pursued by professional slave hunters. The gun-toting, fish-throwing Charley made a name for himself, killing any white man that crossed his path with the wrong intentions. But who would name themselves after this movie? I'd assume it would be a hardened convict, one that took his vengeance out on the white race while still in prison. A convict that would strike fear into the correction officers, the modern-day slave masters. But I was far from right. Born 1948 in Douglas, Georgia, and moving to Florida at an early age, K-Wing Slim spent the majority of his life in Lake Butler, a small city in Union County with a population of roughly 1,800 people. Union County and Bradford County were within North Florida's infamous Iron Triangle, where the entire economy was built off prison. 4 towns, with a combined population of roughly 9,000, were bonded by blood, chains, and history. With the state's only prison, the North Florida Reception Center, and 3 correctional institutions, the Iron Triangle was the heart of the Florida Department of Corrections. Home to death row and the state's oldest prison, the communities within the Triangle were technically free, but knew prison just as well as any convict. With limited amounts of information available, not much is known about Slim's early life. He stood 6'3", 130 pounds. Joined the Army in '67, serving in Vietnam at just 19 years old. Who knows what he saw and experienced in those jungles? The horror stories transformed into Hollywood movies. It's crazy to think, the age I was in prison going to war with prison weapons, he was in Nam going to war with M16s. He came home in 1970 with an honorable discharge, his father passing away the next year. Tragedy can never be explained, only accepted, but at least he was home when it happened. Joining the Florida Department of Corrections, his name would become infamous throughout the 70s, 80s, and into the 90s. It could have been the PTSD, could have been his father's passing, or the fact that Slim was known to solve his issues through fighting. Whichever it was, he took his anger out on inmates, and for generations to come, he'd only be known and feared as K-Wing Slim. K-Wing was confinement within the North Florida Reception and Medical Center in Lake Butler, a facility plagued with violence, death, cover-ups, and investigations. Founded in 1968, it was the intake and processing point for the entire male prison population. My own experience within Lake Butler was short-lived, only going through pending transfer to another facility. At most, I spent 2 weeks in this place. At intake, standing in my boxers and shower slides as I'd yet to receive a uniform. My 2 infected toenails bled and leaked pus as the nurses looked up at me laughing. I was denied medical treatment. My face was slashed with a razor inside an eye block as I limped down the stairs. my attacker taking full advantage of my current state. I bled all the way to the chow hall before a CO saw me, taking me to medical where my face was hot glued shut. I'd seen a dorm within medical, a large room full of elderly inmates about to die. And as I sat in the hallway bleeding, holding an adult diaper to my face because that's all the nurse could offer, I spoke with an orderly. His job was bagging bodies, and his face defined a desensitized man. No emotion whatsoever. The rest of my time was in K-Wing. I was taken to the captain who sat in the office. He wanted the name of who cut me. I claimed I didn't know, and he claimed I was protecting monkeys, asking if I liked playing with monkeys. The officer's grip tightening on my shoulder as the captain spoke. They stomped on my infected toes that were bleeding through my socks. The only reason they didn't hit me in the face was because they didn't want to make the nurses work harder and re-glue the cut shut. K-Wing. 3 wings of cells, both top and bottom tiers, that resembled long dark hallways. Served no utensils to eat with. I ate with my hands. If you didn't have a cup, you wouldn't be served a drink, as they dipped everyone's drink into one big cooler, so I drank from the sink. Cell doors being kicked because the man in the cell next to me was a diabetic and was seizing. COs nowhere in sight. Suicidal inmates begging the orderlies and COs for raises to end their life. Butler was by far my worst experience in prison, but nothing like the stories from generations before. Everyone's heard of the notorious jar with gold teeth within the Florida Department of Corrections. Some saying they'd actually seen it, most lying just for the sake of having something to talk about. The stories of racist guards at Lake Butler targeting anyone that dared to smile, removing the teeth from their mouth before placing it in a jar to show and intimidate others. Golds were more popular in southern Florida, Miami, West Palm, Broward County, but every city had people that rocked them, almost all of them black. And as the legend goes, it was N-word Charley who collected the teeth. A rumored 6'3", 350-pound black man. But there was 2 of them, a father-son duo. The father bigger than the son, both carrying the same name, and the son allegedly carrying the gold teeth throughout the 90s. The stories of K-Wing Slim and the original Charley were treacherous. One white, one black, and neither had one fuck to give. Slim was known as a fighter, and from the 70s to early 80s, rules within the DOC were vague or unspoken altogether. Prisons were hands-on all the way when it came to inmates and staff. The stories from inmates being handcuffed and shackled before being viciously beat, denied medical, and told to keep their mouths shut. Early on, Butler didn't even have phones, so the inmates had no way of letting their families know what was going on aside from letters that were searched before they went out. You ran the risk of dying, attempting to let the true horrors within be known to the outside world. This was a place where inmates were buried, new buildings constructed over their remains, leaving them to never be found. I can confirm both of these men were very real. K-Wing Slim retiring from the DOC in '94 as a sergeant and later passing in 2015. Charley retired also as sergeant. Charley's son passing in 2018, but the father is still alive. Now this is a crazy story all around, and I was skeptical about doing a video on it. People have asked me in the past, usually older guys that did time in the Florida Department of Corrections, and I just felt like, how much of this is real and how much information can I actually pull? What can I actually get? Because it's already hard enough to find out inmate information from before 2004. None of that stuff is available online in the court records. So what am I going to be able to pull about 2 alleged correction officers? But I found a very credible source. Somebody that I'm not going to put their name out. I'm not going to put their affiliation out. And because of this person, I decided not to put out the names of K-Wing Slim and of Charley out of respect, because had I have done so, I wouldn't have got the information that I got. I was able to prove that these people are real people. I was able to see the facts. I was able to find everything. And it was a sense of satisfaction researching this video, because it's almost like I solved the myth. Were these real people? Were these things that really happened. And I was surprised by the amount of information that was given to me, because I didn't have to break down the incidents. I didn't have to say, is it true that he did this? Is it true that this happened? It was all true. The only thing I will say that was said about K-Wing Slim was that he never killed an inmate. That is what I was told, that he never killed an inmate. There was a rumor that he did. But as far as fighting and beatings, it happened. The jar of gold teeth was real. And allegedly the son of Charley was the one that was investigated by the FBI for the jar of gold teeth. Through researching this video, I was able to confirm another name, Cowboy, that worked at Lake Butler, who was a giant CO steroid user that would take half a can of dip and put it in his mouth at one time. I'm not sure what happened to him after the fact, but from what I was told, and this is just alleged, he went to federal prison for beating inmates and supposedly had killed a few, but I was able to confirm he was also a real person. Now, if you're like me, I'm sure you can find the information and find the names of who I speak of. But I ask out of respect, you don't post the names. And the reason I say that is because they have family. And their family, regardless of what they did, does not deserve to be punished or bashed due to what they did in the Department of Corrections. It would be the same as if my father or my grandfather committed a crime and the rest of my family continued to get bashed for what he did. His action was not our action. I don't think that Slim's actions or Charley's actions should be a reflection of their family. And I've tried to view things from a different perspective. You know, Slim was an Army vet. He went to Vietnam at a young age. Who knows what the hell he went through? He got into the DOC. And this is a question I want to ask y'all, because I've asked myself. If you worked inside of a prison where there's no cameras, there's nothing but pure strength and respect, what type of CO would you be? And if an inmate disrespected you, swung on you, whatever it is, called you out, how would you handle it? Would you go by the book? Or would you do something that's out of bounds? And I ask that because I myself am a convicted felon. I'm not known for following rules. So I can't imagine if I did work inside of the Florida Department of Corrections, I would be one to follow the rules. I've had people around me that have done things that I necessarily didn't think were necessary, but I didn't stop them either. And that seems to be the same way the Florida Department of Corrections works. Not every CO is a bad CO. Some of them are. Some of them are worse than the convicts, and they'll kill. And the other COs won't say a damn thing about it. So what would you do if you were a CO, and how would you be? And I'm not praising or showing respect or anything like that for the actions that they did or the people they were. You know, one's dead, one's still alive. I'm sure he's not in the best of health because of his age. I'm just giving my opinion and I'm stating facts. But hey, it's 1090 Jake. I'm rocking with Charley. Y'all rocking with me. Till next time.